On Wednesday night Bible studies, I've been teaching a series on the making of a disciple. The beginnings of that, patience with the process, and then marks of maturity. I didn't have time to deal with all the scriptures. There's so many of them that talk about spiritual maturity. So I wanted to take a few minutes today to talk to you about Hebrews chapter 5, verses 10 through chapter 6, verse 3. I'll summarize and then share some insights as much as possible. The writer of Hebrews was talking about Melchizedek, this very difficult to understand figure. And then he said, there's a lot of things I'd like to share with you about that, but you're not able to hear them. And he told them that the reason they were not able is because they were not mature disciples. They did not have the marks of maturity. And then he begins to describe the difference between a baby Christian and a mature Christian. He said baby Christians need the milk of the Word of God, which is good, and they're focused on the fundamental principles that are the beginning of the salvation process. But strong meat, he said, belongs to those who are of full age, who are not unskilled in the word of righteousness, but have their senses exercised to discern good and evil. And then as he goes into chapter 6, he tells them that anchored in those foundational doctrines, we should go on unto perfection. And he said, this we will do if God permits. So let me share some insights, and you can go back and read this passage. It's very interesting. First of all, it takes time to become a mature Christian. You can't become a mature Christian overnight, just as a tree cannot become mature overnight, or a human being. Secondly, time is not the only factor. It also takes effort on our part to grow as we work with the grace of God. The writer of Hebrews said, you've been saved long enough now that you should be teaching other people, but you still need someone to teach you the fundamental principles of Christianity. You keep circling around these fundamental doctrines that you should have already nailed down, understood, so you can continue to grow to spiritual maturity. So time is a factor, but not the only one. The milk of the Word is for babies, and strong meat is for those who are mature. We don't want to spend our life fumbling around the fundamental doctrines, because that's not a sign of a mature Christian. We understand them, study them, nail them down in our lives, and then we grow on beyond that to perfection, to be like Jesus Christ, to grow up into the stature and the fullness of Christ. Maturity comes through learning, through following Jesus Christ, and a sign of that, according to Hebrews chapter 5, is the ability to discern right from wrong. You have your senses exercised. So I want to encourage you to grow as a Christian, to develop that ability to discern right from wrong, good from evil. It is a sign of a mature disciple. Mature disciples are anchored in fundamental doctrine, and they grow on to be like Jesus Christ. In chapter 6, the writer of Hebrews says, so let us stop going over the basic teachings about Christ again and again. Let us instead go on and become mature in our understanding. Surely, he said, we don't need to start again with the fundamental importance of repenting from our evil deeds and placing our faith in God. You don't need to further instruction about baptisms, the laying on of hands, the resurrection of the dead, and eternal judgment. And so, God willing, we will move forward to further understanding. I commend you for your growth in God, and I encourage you to continue on the lifelong process of becoming a mature disciple of Jesus Christ.